Well, Google Stadia reviews came out today, and for the most part, they weren't great. A lot of reviewers seem to point out some of the issues when it came to latency or just features in general not being ready for now, launch day. Well, launch day is coming up technically. It's in a day or two. Mine has already shipped. I got a notification today that it's shipped out. So I think I'll be getting it later this week, like the 20th or the 21st. And I ordered that thing immediately because I was curious how it would all turn out. And well, now it's looking like a regret for a purchase, I would say at this point. But I did want to talk a little bit about it because we did get pricing for the games today, and some people may not be too happy with the pricing. All right, we'll just say that. And I figured we'd go over that. And I've also spent some time with the xCloud preview program over the last few weeks. And at this point, I'm looking at xCloud and I'm looking at Stadia. And I have to say, xCloud looks like miles better at this point than Stadia. It's not even close right now. So after X019, when they started talking more in depth about xCloud, that's about when I knew that, Stadia is going to be in trouble here. Now, Stadia is already having a hard time because Google's not really known as a game company, and they had to kind of start building from the ground up without actually providing a console of any kind. In fact, they've done nothing but market that this is a future without a box. The future is not a dedicated box at all, which is funny because I am technically waiting for a box to show up that I can take a look at Stadia from FedEx or UPS with a Chromecast. But nonetheless, the future is not a dedicated piece of hardware that you put under your TV. It's going to be literally just streaming through the internet. That's still kind of a tough sell considering it's not paired with a solid subscription program, which is something that Microsoft has been building and building and building. And after X019, when they announced that xCloud will be integrated with Game Pass, I have no idea how Stadia is able to stand up with that. Other than that, they'll, I guess, put it into Google or YouTube, right? It'll be intertwined with YouTube and probably Google to the point where you click a button if you want to just play the game alongside that streamer. But those are features that aren't ready yet for launch. Couple that with the fact that I watch people have to tether the controller to their phone to play Stadia through their Pixel phone, which is the only one that works right now, by the way. Whereas with xCloud, I synced up one of these Xbox One Bluetooth controllers to it, and I was playing. I actually went ahead and put it through LTE because I wanted to see how it worked through a mobile network, considering that I feel like would be the most likely scenario if you're out somewhere and you got time to kill and you're like, well, how about I fire up xCloud and for some reason I have my Xbox controller with me or something. I believe they said they're going to try to get on-screen controls working better or at all. That's the biggest thing, is that you have to have a controller with you, it seems, from what I see, because when I fired up the preview program, it asked me to sync up a controller. But once you do that, I'll say it worked all right. I mean, it's still game streaming. I'm still not really sold on that right now with where the technology is, because when I played Halo 5, it's on a phone screen, so it looked fine for all the action and stuff happening, but I did notice latency. I did notice that there was a slight delay to the controls as I was playing, and of course, if your signal starts to kind of get a little weird or it skips a beat, you'll get kind of those, the blocks, the compression blocks all over the screen for a minute, and you'll probably get some really bad delay. It's something I ran into a few times. However, I will at least give them credit. It did work well enough to where I feel like if I had no other option and this was it, I could probably have an enjoyable experience for a little while. But at X019, they tied it into Game Pass. I assume that means that Game Pass is just going to have a button that's like, hey, if you want to stream this and you have, Game Pass Ultimate, you hit a button and it'll just play. So as long as you can access the internet from a PC, which is also going to be launching next year, or I guess your phone, you can then just play it even if you don't have access to your Xbox system. That's kind of a neat feature, and that's kind of the idea. That's the difference in philosophy between the two companies. Stadia wants to replace your game console, whereas xCloud is more or less a companion service for convenience next to their Xbox system, which doesn't sound like they're going to be stopping with the dedicated hardware going forward, as Phil Spencer has said that they are looking towards generations of dedicated systems still to come. So that's kind of the difference, and that's why I think people are more receptive to xCloud versus Stadia. One has a library of games with Game Pass that you can subscribe to and gives you immediate value, and it's a companion service, whereas Stadia is trying to basically brute force into the market, replace your Xbox, your PlayStation, or your PC, basically, and not provide any type of serious Netflix-like service. Instead, they want to sell the games to you fully. Well, kind of sell them to you, right? It's more or less taking money and then allowing you then to stream that game. So speaking of which, let's take a look at the pricing. So I saw this on Android Police, and they had like the full write-up for the pricing. At least they kind of put that down for us. And check this out. They have Assassin's Creed Odyssey for $60. Now the Stadia Pro deal is $30, so it cuts it in half. Keep in mind though, Stadia Pro is $10 per month just to be able to stream 4K with 60 frames, HDR, all of that. Whereas the free option for Stadia will be available next year. That's 1080p at 60 frames, which I think is what I used on Project Stream last year when we had that whole beta set up. And when I'm looking at this, there are some things that come to mind. First of all, some of these games, yes, can absolutely be found for cheaper on like every other platform. And you're not streaming it, right? Like you could find these cheaper on the Xbox, the PlayStation, even on PC. Although I'll admit, looking around for even Rise of the Tomb Raider, that's still kind of expensive. Like I was a little surprised when I looked around for that one, but you can find them used on other platforms and they would of course be local and you would have it physically in your hand. Yes, you have to install them and probably download a patch, but you do then still physically own a disc. That's the biggest issue here is, do you trust Google enough to stick with Stadia even if it doesn't gain traction right away? Because then if they don't, what happened to your purchases? I assume they just go away. I don't think they just then transfer over to Steam or Ubisoft's launcher, Origin. I don't think that's the case. Like I look down here and I see Final Fantasy 15. I don't know if that's the Royal Edition. It's not listed as the Royal Edition. And if it's not the Royal Edition, then like the PS4 and Xbox One can be found for like 10 to 15 bucks very, very easily. Like it's not difficult to find that game. And all of the Tomb Raider games, shout out the Tomb Raider at 60 bucks. I mean, that's a little out there to me. I understand that they will get 60 bucks for Red Dead Redemption 2. I get it. It just launched on PC, right? So yeah, I at least understand why they would shoot for 60 bucks on that one. But keep in mind, it's again, just streaming. Whereas even digitally, you can still play it while offline. You may have to do check-ins depending with Steam or Rockstar's launcher or any of that. And then you have a window where you have to log back in to check ownership, but you still can play it if your internet goes down. Probably the part that blew me away are the special editions. I couldn't believe it. They have a special edition on here for $120 for Assassin's Creed Odyssey Stadia Ultimate Edition. Now, of course, the Pro deal is $60, which tells me it doesn't at all have to be $120 for the regular version. That is crazy. 120 bucks. Now, I guess that gives you extra stuff on top of it in game. I get that, but it's still just a streamed version of the game that I guess just has this stuff on that version in their servers. Like that is so out there to me when it comes to that. I mean, you see the premium edition, 80 bucks for Mortal Kombat 11. Red Dead Redemption 2, of course, has their special and their ultimate at 80 and 100. But we're to the point now where not only do special editions exist, but they exist not only digitally, but through streams. That's where we are now in 2019. And I'm looking at these list of prices here, and while I feel like I bought into a beta for Google Stadia, which, I mean, if you bought in for the $130 Founders Edition, congratulations, we're all paid beta testers. We are. That's what we're doing. But the fact that there's only 2 games, Samurai Showdown and Destiny 2, that are just made available for anyone who is subscribed to the service at this time is a little strange to me, considering xCloud just announced at XO19 that they would have over 50 games in the preview program, which I checked out, and yeah, they're all there. And the crazy thing about this is all of those games that are in the xCloud, their own preview program, you just play them. Like, they're not charging money for them. I'm sure eventually they will if they're not tied into Game Pass, because we're seeing it here with Stadia, and I guess it's going to work for somebody's going to buy, these games. But the fact that you would have Game Pass, like Rise of the Tomb Raider, I think that's in Game Pass, right? So that would just be down, like it wouldn't even be downloaded. You would just hit a button and it would play. But all of the preview games, including Madden 20, WWE 2K20, all of that just streams immediately. Halo 5 popped right up. It was pretty straightforward. I wasn't buying anything. I was literally just trying it out for them. So I feel like with Google, especially with Stadia right now, we've all now paid to just try the service out and help them get it right. Whereas Microsoft is not only letting us try it for free, of course, through an invite system, they're also providing 50 games to get feedback on. It just looks to me like one company was ready for this with Microsoft and the other one with Google was rushing and trying to get it done for the end of 2019, especially with that free service not even being ready. I feel like if right now we had this pro service and the free service and they're both ready to go now, I don't think we'd be talking about it the same way we are now, because people would say, well, it's a free thing to stream, I'll just buy it, that's fine. Or they'll just wait and see if anything happens after Black Friday sales on Steam. That's the other thing. We're about to run into Black Friday sales for Steam and other digital storefronts as well. And those are ones you at least will have on your computer that you downloaded. Like, they're probably going to be less than half the price of some of these games, and it's not streamed. That's the thing. It starts to get really out there for me with Stadia right now, especially looking around at the competition and other options. But let me know what you guys think about Stadia. The pricing, XO19, xCloud versus Stadia, especially if you've tried the preview program for xCloud. What do you think about what Stadia is doing here? And at the end of this week, it's going to be interesting because I'll at least have that controller and I guess the Chromecast and everything set up. We'll check that out. And we'll check the controller out and tear it down. I'm very curious how that all goes down. Thanks, guys, for watching. Make sure you like the video on the way out if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if not. And I'll see you guys next time.